What's up, boys? Episode 2, Wilson time, baby. We got the game going on right now. How you feeling, Red?
Feeling good. I say that touchdown just went to Blake Bell instead of Noah Gray, so fuck you, cleaner.
Oh, that was nice to see, man. Yeah,
Football's
the
back.
yeah, football's back, dude. I'm already yelling at my TV. Took no time at all. I'm like, Montgomery, get in the end zone. But yeah, no, it feels good. It's good to see it back up on the screen. We're going right along. So,
hmm
um, classic Wilson time fashion. We had to get our episode in. Well, the game's already started and this week's already started, but still late. So,
No, as long as it's before Sunday.
yeah,
That's
we
what
had
I
to get
say.
there. Exactly. We had to get there before the main event. But yeah, I don't know. We'll get going. Just probably go off the draft recap there. It was a good draft weekend. Nice to see everybody as always. The uh the, the vibes with the house were a little weird, and it's funny that Nut said something about the vibes that, like I was like thinking about, oh, we already talked about all the stuff about the house part of it, but then he started talking about more like a spiritual kind of thing. Did you have any encounters while you're there, Red?
No, but at the same time, it could have been, we could be thinking that Elvis and Britney Spears lived there, but it's probably just all a scam. I don't know. At some point, I kind of started realizing that maybe some of the things that were said about this house were not true. I think so. I don't really know if we were going to encounter anything, or that guy was just the guy that like was, when we showed up and when it was supposed to be housekeeping or whatever, was just kind of making things up.
Um, yeah, definitely felt a little off. Kind of thinking about that with the tour buses coming through. I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like maybe they are just saying it's Elvis's house and they're getting these people on the bus to take random pictures. Who knows? But either way, the
I didn't feel anything like too weird. Like, and I think I was up at some time of the night that some people were sleeping, and then I didn't really see anything, feel anything. I would say like the draft itself overall was a little bit of a weird weekend. I feel like it was a little different than what we're used to in the sense of like the fantasy portion, but everything else I
yeah,
thought it was pretty normal.
yeah. No, Nuts said it pretty well in the Podly. The aftermath of the draft. Usually everybody's roster baiting, everybody's talking about their teams and who's got the better team and stuff. There was pretty much none of that this year. I
hmm
mean, I know I was walking away from the draft. I'm like, this is probably one of my worst drafts ever. Honestly, I didn't really know how to feel about it. And then you start looking at the draft board, and it just look like all the teams, the way they were constructed, just looks so strange, you know. But it's a weird year. I mean, talking about it, we talked about in the last episode that going into the draft, there's a lot of uncertainty with, uh, the main positions you're looking at, like with the running backs, wide receivers a little more locked in, but tight ends, it was kind of all over the place. So I felt like people didn't really know how to gauge the value of a lot of these players, whether it was people overspending or people not like some players just going for pretty low amounts. So yeah, I don't know. What were your thoughts about it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
how'd you
it was
feel?
inter it was interesting. Yeah, just there's some aspects to it like Devontae Adams Diggs going for less than $40. Like when last year, myself, I personally had Diggs and I was spending upwards of over $45 for him. And then, I told Nunn, I said it was ridiculous that Austin Eckler is going for, what he went, like what, $50 when last year I had to literally pay $68 to get him, which is like astronomical. It's
Yeah.
kind of like Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, like these guys. Like McCaffrey was the highest in what he went for mid 50s. And last year you were basically gonna have to spend about $80 just to get this guy. So it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Let me see. Christian McCaffrey went for 55. I think I spent like 63 on him last year or something like that. 66. I can't remember.
So Jonathan Taylor was
It
the one
was
that went like
Jonathan
80 or
Taylor.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
B. Johns went and got him. classic.
So I just think that's
Um,
like it's interesting to me how that worked out this year, and then but
mm,
we all expected the QBs to kind of fluctuate a little bit from what we saw last year. We weren't going to all make the same mistake of letting like Mitch get like $13 for Lamar Jackson. So that was something that I expected to happen. It was just the low offers for these top tier wide receivers and running backs, and I wish in the years previous that when I had the $250 that we were lowballing offers like this too, because that would have been perfect for me. But lo and behold, in hindsight, I was having to spend $50 to get a top tier wide receiver. I was spending almost $70 to get a top tier running back. This year it was
right.
just like you just conserve all that money and just wait till the later rounds or pick up another hog. So it was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if people were thinking that everybody had like a bunch of sleepers that they were honing in on, and so they wanted to save their money to be able to stack those guys, get them on their bench. I mean, there
Well,
is like a thought, yeah, there's like a thought process to it. Like that was
it's
kind of
also
my thing.
interesting in the sense that you're talking about right there, save their money, right? There's a lot of people that ended with money left over. A couple teams that
Which,
ended up with a lot of money left over, and then a lot of teams that ended up with just more than just like a buck left, right? So
right? Well, yeah, I don't know how. I mean, what did we say? We confirmed this, right? 4 years of auction draft now.
this is
Or
5.
five. This was
Yeah.
year five. Okay, I still can't
Hmm.
remember.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So year five, how are people still ending with money? And I felt like people ended up with a lot of money this year, which was, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. Like, especially the way the players were going at the beginning there. And again, so kind of my thought process going through it, I was like, okay, I don't have a lot of money to start with because I'm keeping Jamar. And so I kind of figured I wasn't going to be able to get some of the top hogs. But when I was telling Jaden this, when I saw Christian McCaffrey go for 55, I'm like, man, I wish I had a little bit more money because I feel like that is a deal, and I would have kept bidding him up. Um, but my whole I wanted to stick to my strategy, and my strategy was to collect as many guys that I thought could be like, sleepers that break out down the road. Just trying to collect a bunch of assets so I can make some trades or use them, I guess. And I kind of felt like everybody was sort of doing that. I think that's why not a lot of money was spent those early rounds on the hogs, and a lot of people had a lot of money going through the rest of the draft.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. You know, during the drafts, I mean, it was like, "Hey, how's your draft going?" I was like, "I'm just riding the wave," and they're like, "Well, is that good or bad?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm just riding it. Hopefully, I don't fall off."
Nobody ever knows. It's such an emotional roller coaster. It's like so funny too because I think I heard Pitts explaining to Trike like everybody just gets locked in. I mean, it's like at the beginning of everybody's like rowdy and rambunctious, and then it's all of a sudden like quiet and it's just everybody's just zoned in on the computer.
Yeah, no,
um,
no, definitely 100%. And it was just, after the draft this year, it was interesting because maybe we're just used to people like Gare and Calvin back in the day, literally just nonstop talking about who they drafted and how it's like the best team in the league and how like yeah, we'll see and all this stuff, right? Like maybe we're so
right.
used to that, but like this year is just seen as after the draft, there was a lot of people that were like, I don't really know if I drafted like Jaden was like, and Jaden's like everybody that I have on the board right now, I didn't even really know if I wanted, and it was just
Yeah.
like it's like you take Christian McCaffrey, but you also have a plan going into it. Maybe you don't want Christian McCaffrey. Maybe you want two other running backs instead of spending all that money on one. And I just think a lot of people strayed away from their plans, and
Hmm.
it was just a real weird situation this year. Like I just felt like, and there was a lot of like bids out there that weren't like myself included. Like we weren't like enthusiastic. Like it was
I
like
know.
it
Yeah,
was
we
like it was
weren't.
like
Yeah.
oh shit, like yeah, $17, 18, blah blah. There was like a lot of unenthusiastic bids that were going on.
You could definitely hear it in people's voices when they throw a bid like, "Oh man, yeah, I'll do another dollar."
Yeah,
Uh,
Sky Moore for 12, buddy. Yeah, woohoo! Like what the fuck am I doing? Like, what are we doing? Like what am I doing right now? Like I was just
yeah, I
literally
mean the Jalen Warrens of the world, the what was it? I think it was Damian Harris. Uh,
Damien. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just it was interesting, but I think that was the problem is that these high tier guys were going for low amounts of money, so you're getting towards the end and you're realizing I got all this money and we're bidding on players that are third string running backs, second string running backs, fourth
And
string wide
everybody
receivers.
had it.
Yep. Yeah.
Everybody had money, so it was kind of like, okay, we're still in these like crazy bidding wars.
Yeah. No, I think there's a couple guys like I guess for instance just Calvin like where he like had already like splurged and like towards
Yeah.
he was waiting towards the end of the draft, but everybody else was kind of, hovering around the same amount. I know for me, I was looking at how much people had remaining, like what they could offer
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So it was something that like I was taking into consideration, but I think at the same time it kind of strays away from what you actually are trying to do. And so instead of
Yeah.
just focusing on your own stuff, you're really trying to think about what everybody else is doing. And I think there was a lot of that this year. I don't know if that's the case for everybody, but for me, I just felt like I saw a lot of people's eyes wandering around,
Oh
like
yeah. I was I was wandering on the actual screen itself, monitoring people's money, who what needed what, probably overanalyzing it, honestly.
oh,
Uh,
100%.
and it's funny because we had talked about this from the draft last year, that everybody's concerned about what everybody else is doing, and like you said, it's instead of focus on what you're doing, you deviate away, and you kind of it's like you as soon as that you get off the rails, I mean, you're like, well, fuck it, I'm just going. Like, all right,
Yeah.
like let me see if I can use my own fantasy knowledge, like extract all this information out of my brain, in a crunch time to make the right decision.
Yeah, I haven't listened to Podly today, as we're around doing stuff, but I haven't listened to it, so I don't even know what grade I got on my team. It could be the shittiest thing ever. It could be freaking mediocre. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
what it is,
I
so,
could tell you right now, bud.
well, tell me. I just spoil it for me.
Nut give you a B plus. So
Wow,
like
okay. Thank you, Nut.
yeah, you were sixth, and you have a 61% chance of making the playoffs.
Cool.
Where
Nice to hear.
myself, I'm like one, two, ninth. I got a B,
Hmm.
47%.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's
okay.
funny too because the Kerry cousins are down there. Both, well, Peyton's last, Cal's right above him. So
Yeah. Well,
I love to see
that's
it.
about right. So, I say, well, basically draft recap. I think we like the overall arching like theme of it all was, uh, did I do good? Like, I guess it's a question, right? Like, did I do good in the draft? Did I draft what I wanted to? It was kind of like it's just a question mark. I think that's the overall theme is question mark.
You know what could be a product of that is the season, how it plays out. Everybody's like questioning their team. Outside of Nuts team, I know he did his ranking, but the eyeball test outside of Nuts team, I don't really see a team that I'm feeling like super confident, like a top to bottom sort of roster. And
Yeah,
so because of that, I feel like everybody's gonna be pretty much on the same playing field. And like I said too, I think I said at the draft, I think there's gonna be a lot more trades this year. I think there's gonna be a ton of trades because a lot of people are gonna be kind of scrambling for those positions that they're not so sure about. And
yeah,
yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
yeah. Well,
The
and that's the great thing about fantasy, right? Like we can all sit here and we can all look at Nets team because I know everybody was just drooling over, it. And it's like
I
I've had a
wasn't
team.
drooling.
I was like, to be honest, I've had a team like that. Like I'm not gonna say I had the exact same team that Nut had, but I've had a team like if we
Of course
okay,
you didn't.
yeah, whatever everybody wants to say. Last year, if you look at me before I did all my trades and shit like that, right? If I would have kept the players that I kept, there's a strong possibility I'm in the championship based off of just how they scored throughout the year. Like not sitting here being biased or anything like that. If we just go based off the scoring of what all the players that I drafted, what they ended at the end of the year, I would have made it further in the playoffs than I did. Like, and that's what you get for $250. And so, but the problem is you never know. That might trade somebody this year, and then maybe somebody gets injured or something like that, and then he doesn't have that backup he needs.
Nuts trading for sure. Nut
So
couldn't.
so I don't
Nut
think it's a
couldn't help
lock. Like,
himself but trade. That man. he's looking at so much fantasy and he's so like he's burrowing into all the stats. I can literally just see him in his, New York place there. It's like just sitting in his computer, just like getting inside of it, and he's like a little rat inside of like his freaking data
Yeah.
nest.
I just don't want
He's gonna make a trade. Is what I'm saying, though.
yeah. I just know people are like, oh, nuts team. And it's like, yeah, like we've all been there. Like I've won a championship, you've won multiple championships. Like we've all been there where we have a team that we're like, it's the best thing ever. And it's like, I don't think I started out the year like that. Like I don't think I started out the year, didn't make a single move, didn't make a single
No,
trade. And it was just like that was my team that I rode from the very start to the very end. Like, you know,
yeah. I was saying it the entire draft. You can lose your season in the draft, but you don't win it there. I mean, there's a reason why you got to. I mean, it's a whole season. You got to manage that team. Yeah, there's strokes of luck with things, but you got to keep making moves and stuff. I mean, the waivers, whether it's trades. So,
yeah.
like,
So
I'm not going to sit there and say Nuts got a guaranteed lock because we know that's not true. I mean,
no.
it's been proven time and time and time and time again. So, yeah, we have to see how the season plays out, what the
No.
injuries look like. It's all the things. It's all the things all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy. It reminds me. There's this guy we work with, right? And we just did like a work draft, and he doesn't know jack shit about football, and he was asking one other guy that we work with about like stuff, and I was like, hey man, I'm a 3-time champion in my league, and I was like, we're 14 team, they're 12 team. I was like, dude, they're nothing. I was like, our waivers are barren out there. And so he's like, okay, can you come over and like show me? And I was like pulling his team, or I was like talking to him about his team and everything. And I'm like, dude, you got to like, you have to be able to manage it. And it's like, you're constantly looking at stuff all the time. It's like when fantasy
Mm-hmm.
season starts, I'm like, it's like there's a switch that turns on and it's just, you're getting articles, you're getting podcasts, you're getting alerts on your phone. I'm like, you got to make sure, guys, like there could be an injury happens in practice. You got to be able to get in there and beat the other guy to get to the waiver.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's it. That's why
No.
wives and girlfriends hate this time of year. I'm sure all you guys that have a wife and a girlfriend, they're all just like, God damn it, dude, it's back.
Right.
But hey,
Exactly.
that's
I know.
what that's what we live
I'm
for.
literally. I'm in the living room right now with the TV on of football, and I'm sitting here in the middle of the living room with my iPad open. I'm like, everybody out.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, even the cat. I'm like, get out, cat. Get out, Stevie.
Get your putt out.
So yeah. Well, the only thing left to talk about draft weekend is like the rules, and the only thing that really came into play was decimal for kickers. Everything else was kind of, we're not going to talk about the committee because nothing changed. So whatever. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'm glad to get decimals. More decimals.
yeah, I'm glad that Nut changed that because I remember I was saying I was like, why the fuck is every kicker projected like 15
Yeah.
points and stuff like that? So that makes more sense why he was like, oh yeah, it's adding on top of the kick that they already make.
Mhm.
It's just adding an additional 3 points to it, and that made sense to me.
Right. No, I saw that too. I didn't say anything because I didn't think about it, but no, I'm glad that we have that in there.
Okay, so
Do you got any? I was just gonna ask real quick. Do you got any favorite picks or
from the draft,
honestly, I don't really have any favorite picks. I've looked over this whole draft result thing, and I just, maybe it's just because of the draft, like we were just talking about.
I don't know.
We can
I like.
move on. I don't really honestly the draft. I'm so over, dude. Like I don't
I
even.
say honestly, the only thing that was like really good coming out of it was, like I said, some of these people got top tier wide receivers and running backs for like at a premium price compared to last
Yeah,
year. So like, yeah, so whoever got those guys, woohoo, good job. But it sounds like the majority of everybody got them. Whoever bid on them.
right. It was just, but even still, yeah. I mean, good job on that part. Woo, dude, you guys did good. But then you go look at the rest of the team. It's like it kind of diminishes it
Dude,
because
it's weird. Like Nuts bench is like, bleh, it's like bleh, like, but his starting
yeah,
rotation is great. It's like this is what Nuts team right now looks at what somebody had done throughout the whole entire season. That they basically made all these trades and they got all these really good players and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the season, right, you have no bench. Like, and there's a lot of teams like that in
Honestly,
this, not just Nut, but a lot of teams have like this bench. It's like, what? Like, like who are you gonna plug and play if you need to, right?
yeah. Let me just look at something real quick. Yeah, I mean, his team kind of reminds me of my team last year, except for I'd probably take Tyler Lockett definitely over Chase Edmonds. I'm not saying this point in their career, but last year when we're going into that draft. But that's the problem. It's kind of like when you have all that money, right? You can collect as many hogs as you like, essentially. So you do that, and then what ends up happening is you're like, okay, well, I got this. You become like top heavy. You have just this really solid starting lineup. And if one of those players doesn't pan out or they get injured, then you don't have anything else to replace it.
And you're scrambling, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the majority of everybody. Like, like I said with the benches this year, I feel like the benches are like, blah, dude. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like in the NFL in general, like there's like it's now getting saturated to like you can only like place a certain amount of starters from a certain amount on a team, right, or something like that. I don't know what it is. It just feels like there's not as much like flexibility when it comes
yeah.
to
Well,
Pacheco. Okay.
we're
Um,
we're still in the unknown, So it's kind of like you got to wait
oh,
till
he's
after
he's
week.
limping.
Yeah,
Pacheco's limping. No bueno. Yeah. So no, we are in the unknown.
dang.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
Jaden. Yeah.
So
Um,
um
we just have to wait till after week one. I mean, problem is like we're in the in between stage still, so it's hard to tell. Maybe things actually shake out the way they're kind of like projected to shake out, or it could just be a
mhm.
complete free for all, and everything is just shaken up. Like that's why the
Yeah.
trades are going to be so interesting because
Yeah,
unless you
no.
get some like solid clarity, if we're going into it this season this way already, thinking this way, then if that kind of continues into it, I mean, the trading is going to be so strange because you're like, well, I don't really know who I actually want to go get. Unless it's like a proven hog, like Amon
Yeah,
Raw.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the problem here is I think we'll get down to the point where it's like, you know, who do you want to fill out your roster into completeness, right? But I feel like there's so much if on everybody's benches where it's like
Mm,
I don't even know if I would want like is my bench any better than anybody else's bench or is anybody else's bench better than my bench? I don't really know, like to be honest. But it is early in the season. I just if you look at the names and like what you're looking at, like the projections and everything like that, it just doesn't seem like there's anybody that stands out really as a complete whole team.
no.
No.
And so, are we going to talk about B. Johns' squad right now at all, or do you want to actually? We could save that. We could save that. I
Well,
mean, it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
the
Say,
injuries. It's just crazy. I mean, that
well,
Travis Kelsey one, huge.
yeah, but it's week one. Like, obviously, every week matters, right? But like I was just listening to a podcast, and like, I'd rather have Travis Kelsey for 13 games of the year than freaking
Oh
Dallas
yeah,
Goddard for 17. They were like, yeah, obviously it sucks, but they're like, it's not anything serious. You're gonna get him back, and it does. And like, they were saying something about like if Travis Kelsey had missed 3 games last year, he still would have been tight end one by considerable margin. So it's just like whatever, dude. Like,
right.
yeah, you're gonna the first week sucks. It sucked. You knew Cooper Cup was gonna be injured. We already knew it. Travis Kelsey, that sucks. But guess what? You get your hog back the next week, hopefully, and freaking the rest of the year, you don't have to worry about a tight end. So
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
But also, he has Dallas Goddard as a contingency plan, so I don't think he has a really good option to start in his place.
It's just so funny how that actually is already playing out for Bijan's. Like looking at the end of the draft, I'm like, why the hell would you get Dallas Goddard when you just got Travis Kelsey? And then
Yeah.
sure enough, here you go.
um. All right, so let's move on to, and this will kind of like cover like talking about like
Yeah,
everybody's
let's get
teams and
into
stuff
it.
like that. So who won the draft? Who lost the draft? Right. So I know everybody loves it after we get done. I remember I did it last year. We pulled up the Fantasy Pros and I showed everybody. And everybody's like, what? And now they have it included into Sleeper where you can see it. So everybody was checking out their playoff potential and their
Mm,
season record and what it's projected to be. So let's go down the list and we're going to talk about if we actually agree with this or not. So and it's rated out of 100, right? So Shimer was number one with 100. Then we had Nut with 97. We had Jesse with a 94, yourself with 87, then myself with an 85. Then we have Trone at 84, Cody at 83, Dirtle at 82, Trike at 82 as well, Jaden at 79, Gobby at 78, Cleaner at 69, B. Johns at 68, and Cal at 63. Now let's put it into perspective as well. When we played the game, we projected Jaden to win it, who scored an 79, which is fifth to last in Fantasy Pros projected. And then we have B. Johns, who's projected at the Sacco that we did in the game, and he's also second to last in overall score, which is 68. So, first, who won the draft? Who lost the draft? Do you have somebody that you think in this draft won it? Like, I know for me, I have mine.
Like won the actual draft?
Like, who do
Is
you
what you're
think won the
saying?
draft? Yeah, like, who do you think won it?
I
Because
mean, I
right
have
now
to
it
go.
says they say Scheimer at 100, but I would probably choose
Yeah,
Nuts team over Scheimer's.
I'm gonna choose nuts. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the starters, right? Like, yeah, you want to have a good bench, but at the end of the day, like, imagine if all these guys actually did stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You're just thinking about that way. Yeah, it's not. I mean, and Kamara comes back if he actually teaches. I don't see how he doesn't win the draft.
Yeah.
Who lost the draft, in my opinion? It's tough. I want to say between COD. Like, I really did not. I mean, you got all the Steelers, but who lost the draft? And you're not thinking about the injuries. I'm gonna say Trone, man. I just
Yeah.
ending with the what was it, $22, and just the amount of money he spent on some of the players. I mean, he's got some players I like, but actually, I just looked at his team. Maybe it's not him. Go ahead though. So you thought Nut won the draft?
So I think Nut wins I think Nut wins the draft, right? And then for me, yeah, I think B Johns loses the draft. I just like there's a lot of question marks on his team. Like just Aaron Rodgers, we don't know how good he's gonna be. He has the Nick Chubb, that's great. However, you got Jerick McKinnon rolling out as your RB2. Mm, Cooper Cup, we knew he was injured. Like, who knows what happens with this hamstring thing? Like, hamstrings are bitches. Like, sometimes you can't get rid of those, and they'll just linger throughout the whole year. And we know the Rams aren't going to do anything this year. And so I have a horrible feeling that Cooper Cup, even though I love watching Cooper Cup play, is just that something's going to happen. He's probably going to come back. He'll aggravate it or something like that, and they'll just shut him down for the rest of the year because why risk it? You're paying this guy so much money, and you just wreck that hamstring. You don't want to do that, and especially with like how shifty he is, I think it would just ruin his career. But then on top of that, like Marquise Brown, like dude, Kyler Murray, what that Cardinals offense is doo doo. Like who knows what's gonna happen?
Mm,
Tight end is probably the only position that I feel. Tight end and defense is the only position that I feel on B. John's team that I feel confident about because he's got the Goddard, he's got Travis Kelce, obviously, and then he has the blue wall. But everything else, I think it's really up for interpretation. Like, Nick Chubb, yeah, but everything else, who knows? It's gonna
you're
be a
right.
it's gonna have to play out the whole season before I'm like, oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers, brother. Like right now, I'm thinking, oh, Aaron Rodgers, brother. Like,
You're right. No, actually, I just gave the draft results a glance over again. I mean, yeah, you look at his bench. There's nothing. Renfro, Gus, MBS, Zay Jones, Jerome Ford, Alan Lazard. I'm not buying any of that. So then you rely on Aaron Rodgers to he's got to do something. I mean, the backbone's Nick Chubb, but then fucking Jerick McKinnon and
yeah,
the Brown thing you just pointed out. The only one that I saw that was even close to it is Cleaner, and that's the Miles Sanders, Kenneth Walker. I'm not a fan of Kenneth Walker so much this year. Maybe it proves me wrong.
yeah,
But then Dr. Schultz on the Texans, I don't know, man. Like the Texans feel like they're just gonna run the rock.
yeah. I think
And then
Cal's team is fun to look at, but I don't know. It's kind of like Scheimer's teams. Usually, Scheimer's teams are like super fun to look at, like on paper. Like I look at Scheimer after he drafts, and I'm like, oh, cool, like some rookies and like some really fast players and stuff like that. I'm like, ooh, these guys could be really good, and this team could be really fun to watch. And then as we can see, Scheimer's seasons haven't went so well, and I just
Hmm.
feel like that's Cal's team right now. Like I don't know. Like yes, like you have CD Lamb, you have the Bijan and the Gibbs. Bijan and Gibbs, we don't even know yet. Like so, it's fun to look at, but until I actually see like into week 7, I'm like, man, these guys are hogs. Right now, it
Right.
looks like this could be a big bust.
Well, it's a lot of prove it. That's the thing when you go with those rookies. It's like you need them to go out there and actually show because nobody's seen. So,
Also, his
well,
bench. I'm looking at his
his
bench, and
bench sucks.
I'm like, dude, like freaking doo doo pants. Like, I don't care what you say about Michael Gallup. He ain't gonna touch he ain't gonna touch 60 targets this year. Like, those are getting eaten up by everybody. Like, Jordan Palmer, Quentin Johnson, gonna go right above him. I already know it. Chuba Hubbard, like, I don't, like, yeah, it's just, there's a lot of, like,
The
ew,
deflated
like,
pud.
yeah, like I said, Cal's the meat of Cal's team is really fun to look at on paper. You don't know what's gonna happen, and then his bench is literally just it.
Yeah, agreed.
Like freaking like forget about it, forget about it, forget about his
Forget
bench.
about it. Yeah, I forgot about it.
Yeah, I already forgot about it.
And that's the problem.
Papanculo.
When you don't have a bench, right? It's like when you go to try to make trades, you have to liquidate your hogs then. If you have like maybe a couple of hogs, but you have a nice spread out bench or some players that actually have capitalized, then you can trade those guys, package them together, or whatever. But when you have all
Yeah,
those hogs, unless Cal, I mean, maybe Cal's just, I already know, dude. Cal's, we all know. Cal's just going to go buy another team. I mean, that's what he does. And that's what I do. Like, I don't blame him. I get it. But it's just when you put yourself in that position where that's kind of, unless you liquidate a hog and you go spend, then you have to go spend all that money. So it's like,
yeah,
I mean, you set yourself up for it in a way.
yeah.
Unless something
So,
breaks for you, I don't know.
well, okay, so I think in this scenario, like, what's a dark horse team for you? Like, what's a team that like when we look at the fantasy pros, we just read off the numbers and the scores and everything like that. You know, which team, like, it doesn't necessarily mean the scores, what that doesn't really necessarily matter here, but it's like, what team did you see that you're like, man, this could be like a juicy team. Like, this could be a team that really like goes further than maybe what they're projected, or maybe like, like I said, it's just that dark horse for the season.
Yeah. Ah, man. I have to go look real quick to see. Do you have an idea of yours?
Mm, I want to say Jaden's, and I just think like if Kyle Pitts really pans out, like if Desmond Ritter, which I don't know that Desmond Ritter, man, like played in Cincinnati, like he was playing in the Big East, like I don't know, he's not that. I think he's good, but I don't think he's gonna do anything special this year, and he hasn't really made that progression that like some of these other quarterbacks have made within the
Yeah.
first 2 years. But yeah, if if Kyle Pitts stands out, freaking, you know, Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, Jalen. We know Jalen Waddle is going to go off. Um, he's got that stupid Tyler Bass again. I like that guy as a kicker. Eagles defense, like it could be a sneaky good team here. It just depends on if that Kyle Pitts, I think, pans out, and then if Pacheco can pull himself away. As we're watching right now, like CEH is getting more work than Pacheco. Like this is typical freaking Andy Reid offense.
Right.
But
Well,
I
I
think
guess for
he'd be a dark horse because we're looking at possibly a number one running back in Chris McCaffrey, possibly a number one Justin Jefferson, wide receiver. And if Pitts pulls his head out of his ass, what Pitts, if Pitts is actually who he's supposed to be and Desmond Ritter's actually pretty good, I would see him finishing above Hawkinson, being up there in the top 3 tight ends.
yeah, I mean, you call Jaden a dark horse. He was in the finals last year, and no, also rated him a pretty good
Well, I'll say just the reason why I say that is
squad.
because he's bottom 5 of what Fantasy Pro says based off his draft because he himself also does not have a very good bench.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the kind of the thing. It's like everybody doesn't really have a good bench. I think.
Oh, oh, oh! Pick 6 for the Lions. Patty Mahomes
Oh
throws it
wow.
straight into the Lions' hands. Who was it? Who is this guy?
Rookie, I think. I don't know who it is.
Number
Get top,
32.
Patty.
Oh, Branch. Hey, he's a rookie.
I think my team though I have as a dark horse.
Oh, it went
It,
right. Oh, that's the reason why. It went right through Kadarius Tony's hands, dude. Freaking
dude, I was
right.
there are people at work and then talking about the draft. I'm like, get Kadarius Tony out of here. I mean, yeah, he has like one good game, couple of good games. I'm like, it's like nuts point, dude. You don't play football ever because you're always banged up. I don't know, man. It's like everybody is juicing them off, like stroking their puds on him. Like, I'm done with them. Something more positive. I
So,
think Brian. I think
okay.
Brian's team is more of a dark horse.
Do you think he's a dark horse? Because he was rated, he was number one rated on Fantasy Pros. Like his draft was rated the highest draft.
Dude, get Fantasy Pros out
No,
of
that's
here
what
with
I'm
that.
saying though, because we have nothing to go off of. We have nothing to go off of. Now, if everybody was sitting here shitting on freaking Scheimer's team, then I get it. But I don't think anybody's sitting here saying Scheimer had a shit draft. And also, Fantasy Pros is ranking them number one. So it's like, is that really a dark horse? Like we know
No,
that.
but listen, here are my thoughts. Here are my thoughts out on this. Okay, so there's been a lot of. I mean, if you would have listened to Podley, the James Cook pick, Nut was not a big fan of, and I know a lot of people weren't a fan of James Cook going into it. DJ Moore, that's not a sexy pick either. Javante, old Pookie, don't really know what he's gonna do. So I mean, there's some question marks, but this is what I'm thinking. So you got Lamar Jackson, and that's probably what Fantasy Pros is seeing too. There, well, Lamar, right? His couple of studs, but if Lamar's gonna do his thing, Damian Pierce, there's also people talking about how he'll regress from what he did last year. I, I mean, yeah, he got ran down, but dude's got a whole offseason to prepare for his
Yeah.
conditioning. To get
Also, it's year two. Like, come on, how
yeah,
many?
and
Think of Zeke. Think of Josh
no, I
Jacobs. Think
know,
of
I
yeah.
know. I was the Fantasy Pros. There was a lot of articles I saw about people dogging on Damian Pierce and saying that, oh yeah, it's Texans still. You got a lot of wear and tear. I'm like, dude, he's still young. Again, second year, and they brought in Dingletary to spell him. They didn't have a freaking running back there last year to help him out. So yeah, it's like, well, okay, let's turn around and just hand the rock off because that's all we can do. So as long as he stays healthy and he didn't have like a major injury, I mean, he had whatever injury he had, but it wasn't anything crazy. So if he teaches James Cook, I actually am a believer in James Cook. I mean, you see what Dalvin Cook can do. Yeah, he's a little bit smaller, but the athleticism is still there, and he's a pass catching like specialist. I mean, Diggs or not Diggs, Josh Allen might not toss him the rock a bunch, but I would rather have the guy that's on a top five offense with a top three QB. And if they're going to be, if he's pass catching back, you have Josh Allen that's always passing the ball. I mean, whatever. Who knows how it's going to play out, but I would bet on him actually having a good season.
Well, I also like Scheimer's bench though too. Like I honestly
Well,
think
yeah, you got
like this is
Diggs,
this is one of the few teams that I look at. I'm like, okay, we have a decent bench going on here. We got
Jahan
Swift,
Dotson,
yeah,
Watson,
yeah, right. Watson.
DeAndre
It's really just
Swift, right?
it's just those three, right? Because like this Mingo, Thielen, like whatever Thielen is Thielen, but he's on the you never know what's gonna happen with that. But yeah, Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson, and then that DeAndre Swift. I think that's just like really good players that you can plug and play, and you can feel
Again,
confident every week.
yeah, no, you got young Pud too, old Dalton Kincaid. I mean, he's got to go prove himself. But again, I would rather have the rookie tight end that's getting passes from Josh Allen. I
I don't see this whole Dalton Kincaid thing because they just extended freaking Dawson Knox for 4 years and paid him like almost $50 million or something like that. 5 years, $50 million, something like that.
I'm not really sure. Like I'm not really getting it either. But I'm not saying Brian's going to win the championship. I'm just saying I think he's a dark horse to have a solid team. He's
Yeah.
got assets, so if he needs to make trades during the year, he's going to have the ability to do that without having to liquidate again one of those hogs that he has.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, 250 too. So kind of expect him to have some, a good team. I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that Fantasy
If you don't
Pros has Brian and Nug up top.
like if he doesn't like James Cook or something like that, he can just package deal a James Cook and a Jahan Dotson or something like that, and
Yeah,
maybe
unless he's complete trash. But
yeah. So
yeah,
okay. So how about okay? We'll do a quick little segment of the game because we got to do our matchups. And matchups take a little while, and I'm not trying to spend forever on the call today. But let's think about this. So the game. How did the game play out? How do you think did you like the champion being Jaden? Did you like B Johns being Sacco? Was there anything that you changed about the game? What would you think? Because it's like a thing now. Like the game is like a thing.
Well, I think the game is set up just fine with the rules and regulations that we have in it. Um, yeah, I wouldn't change anything about it. I think yeah, it's set up perfectly. I liked B Johns, of course, being in the Sacco. And who knows? Maybe I'm telling you, man. I want us to like. I'm glad we're keeping track of it because after last year, Jade and I being in the finals, and we're also in the finals of the game. I want to see how accurate we can be with this. So,
Because
look
maybe
at
we know
BJ.
what we're talking about if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of an interesting little like nuance of our league. I don't know if other people would get it if we tried explaining it to anybody. But like, oh yeah, we
Right.
play this game and we like the names and stuff. Sun God, Blue Wall, Gould on my chain.
Yeah, right. There's some winning based
But
off of names.
yeah, I mean, Jaden was fine. I mean, I think Jaden has a good team. Like the Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson could potentially have both number one, arguably most important positions in fantasy. So that's always going to set you up nice. And yeah, I mean, kind of the game this year shook out a little wonky, which is funny because I don't feel like every like I feel like other years were a little more lit up than we were this year, and so I thought the game this year was kind of like we were just like real rowdy. There was a lot of yelling. I mean, Gabi and I were playing rock paper scissors, flipping coins, all this stuff. So yeah, I think the game was great. And I would bet that it probably has some of the whatchamacallit, the predictions like accurate. I
Yeah.
would at least relatively. Like B
Well,
Johns is already starting the year with Travis Kelce and Cooper Cup injured, so who
I like to
knows?
think that we know what we're talking about. So if we can predict this stuff, it means that we actually do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I
Um,
would say,
all right. So let's go to week one matchups here, and
yeah. Let's get to the meat of this.
okay. So
I miss
we'll
this.
start. We'll start it out. Myself versus Cleaner, and so this one obviously I can't really project. I'm not going to sit here and choose myself because I would. Who you taking week one, myself or Cleaner? Cleaner right now has his tight end and the Chiefs defense in, so he has no great and the Chiefs defense playing currently.
Hmm.
I like doing it during the Thursday night football because usually people have players playing during Thursday night football, so we can kind of see a little bit more of the projections and like kind of like say like the Chiefs defense had like 20 points or something, we could be like, whoa, so maybe that's a little bit different.
No, I don't like that. We got to do it beforehand because we have to feel like we know what we're actually talking about.
No, we do know what we're talking about.
Plus, I also like to watch the game, and
I'm watching it. You just got to face
I'm
the
not. I have
game.
to sit over here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
the
you got to
mic's
face
over
the
here.
game. The TV's in front of my face, so I just go.
Yeah.
Whoop.
I mean, I'm gonna take you, and it's only because I'm looking at the flex spot. You got Devontae compared to Elijah Mitchell, and you guys' tight ends are both a shit show. So
I don't
it's not
think
like
that
there's
they're
anything
shit
there.
shows. I don't know why we say that. Like,
Your tight
I
ends, bro. Cole Kmet against the Green Bay Packers D. Like Packers D is supposed to be even better this year, and Noah Gray. Well, obviously he's not doing shit right now. So those are
you know what?
doo
You
doos.
know what Cole Kmet finished last year?
I don't care what Cole Kmet finished last year. I know
He
that he was a
finished he
bum.
finished seventh.
Oh wow,
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, I
that's
don't
fine.
know. It's not the worst.
Either way, I'm taking you because I like your studs more than his. I'm taking Aaron Jones over Kenneth Walker against the Chicago's D. I'm taking Herbert over Sanders. I hate Miles Sanders, dude. Get that dude out of the league. Ready for him to retire.
Dude's been in the
And
league for
then
like 3, 4 years. Like, get him out.
probably because he was an Eagle, pissed me off.
on my
AJ
list.
Brown taking over Debo, taking T Higgins over Godwin. Yeah,
So I've been so I was texting another
taking
friend of
Joe
mine or whatever.
Cool.
I was texting another friend of mine, and I was just, and they're like, "Well, how'd the draft go?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't really go as I planned. There's some people I didn't want." I was like, honestly, I'm looking at it. My season is make or break off Debo Samuel, because if Debo is Debo, like I'm locked. I'm locked in at my wide receivers for good. Like I'm T Higgins going my flex. If I'm running Debo and Devontae, I'm fine. But my season's riding on Debo at this point because like if the dude goes off and he plays like he does when he's actually playing and everything like that, and the offense is flowing, he's
Yeah.
just a juicer. He's just eating it up.
Well, yeah, no, everybody knows he's a juicer. It's just if he can do that, right?
Which I looked last year and he only missed like 4 games, so it wasn't like an
I don't
astronomical
think
amount.
people aren't even really looking at the injury stuff though. It's kind of more of like the usage. Like he lost targets after McCaffrey got there. He lost rushing attempts after McCaffrey got there. But I mean, he has the talent, of course.
Yeah, I just think that division's probably going to be a little bit better this year. So I think the usage will. I think there'll just be a lot more like score. Like they already score a decent amount, the 49ers, but I just feel like there's going to be a lot more competition, and I think they'll just have to use Debo a little bit more this year. I just think like, and last year was such a shit show, right? It was Jimmy G. Then it was like no, it started out with Trey Lance. Then it went to Jimmy G. Then it went to Brock Purdy. At least this year we know it's going to be Brock Purdy.
Do you think Devonte Adams gets traded this year?
Well, have you seen the things about Chandler Jones? Like the dude's like,
Yeah.
well, for one, I think he might be went mental at this point. I don't know. He's literally tweeting like unhinged things. They're sending like crisis units to his house to figure out if he's okay because he's like they're just sending this stuff over because and I don't get it. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, it's because you're literally tweeting the craziest stuff. Like
Oh
and just
God,
saying the
I
N
haven't
word everywhere, and I'm like, they're probably checking their PR because they're like, let's get this guy to under the wraps. Like
Raiders.
so
There
I
you
think the
go.
way that it's,
That's
I
the
think the way,
dirty Raiders for you.
yeah, the way it's already starting, like I hope Devontae Adams because if he gets traded, he's not going to go traded. He's not going to get traded to some bum squad. He's going to go to a contender.
Right. Yeah, I would think so.
So
All right.
I hope so. But okay,
Yeah.
so you take me. So we'll have to keep that in the books. Um, Next one is Nut versus Jesse, and this one I'm taking Nut.
Yeah. Until we see like if Nuts team's actually gonna shit the bed at all, or if it's just gonna steamroll, I'm gonna take Nut. It's just the
Yeah,
starters.
no, I agree. All right, so we're both going with Nut on that one. Next one we're going is the like, and I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to. I guess I don't want to like just skim past Jesse like that. But there's good players on here. I'll never trust Sleepy Joe. I don't like Sleepy Joe.
Can't do him.
A quarter of his points last year came off that one game. And then he always is. He's in the mix of something outside of like football. Like even Oklahoma, he's knocking girls out. Now he's threatening people with guns and stuff. He's always into something. So I just feel like I have a weird feeling this year that he's just gonna implode. Like I don't know. I feel like as like the Bengals who are trying to win a Super Bowl, they can't just sit there and let this guy like just wreak havoc and just create a horrible like I don't know like what a horrible like storyline for this team this year.
Well, it'd be like a virus in their culture there.
Yeah.
You
So
know. Oh yeah, the Mike Evans thing too. It's Baker Mayfield, man. I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know if Mike Evans is gonna teach from him. Who
Mike
knows?
Evans is mad because he hasn't got a contract yet either. So you never know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Um,
agree.
all right, so now
All right.
we're going to Cal versus COD.
Oh, the Wombats versus the Horseman.
Yes, and
I love
his
that the Horseman is getting blasted all over social media right now. Like I saw B. John's post a a post on Instagram, and I scrolled to the second picture to see what it was, and it was a horseman there. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna post that on my story. I could have posted a picture of all of us. I already did that. So I was like, let's get the horseman back out there. He needs some more recognition
I also like
for
that.
the job well done, you know?
Yeah, I like that. I like that B Johns is posting on social media, but when he did his thing, he was like, "Don't even think about it." Like,
Well, okay, it's a little bit different, you know. banana
What?
hammock versus a horse suit.
He was wearing underwear. Like,
Well, I
yeah,
know it looked even stupider, so he probably real yeah. That was dumber looking than the horse costume by far.
yeah. I don't
It
know.
probably well, in all fairness, I was talking to B Johns about this. I'm like, dude, your nuts were hanging out of that that banana hammock. I remember that.
So who you going with this on this one?
All right. Oh God, that Anthony Richardson. There's so much talk about that dude. I'm. That's gonna be one of the storylines I'm gonna follow this year. I'm not gonna trade for him, but like
I'm gonna.
the Colts are so
I'm gonna.
shitty. I'm going Steve
Man,
in. Like that's where I'm
I'm going.
going.
I'm going Steven on this one, and I don't feel good about it. Like I don't because, dude, Deshaun Watson, and we're rolling out Elijah Moore. Like, if Deshaun Watson's not playing good, why Elijah Moore is not going to
No,
be the one that because like, if Deshaun Watson does anything worthwhile in that game, it's going to Amari, and if it's not going to Amari, nobody's doing anything.
I don't believe that. I actually was targeting Elijah Moore. I think he's gonna have maybe not as good of a season as Amari, but he's gonna have a solid season. I mean, the dude was a high pedigree wide receiver getting drafted, and he played with some most dog water quarterbacks in New York. So if Deshaun returns to form, why can't he feed two guys? I mean, three guys really. And it's not like their running backs getting any targets either. So I think there's plenty of targets to go around there.
The problem is I think when I think of Elijah Moore, I think of
And you
Kadarius
got
Toney. I think of Kadarius Toney. I think of
I know.
Elijah Moore. He's had no, like, hear me out. If you look at his first two seasons, the games that he plays well, he goes off 20 points, 20 points here, 20 points there. But the problem is, in the first year, he had a hamstring problem. He was out for the last 6 weeks of the year, and then last year, right? Like, everybody's like, oh, Elijah Moore, And I don't know. Yeah, it was Mike White and all that stuff. But if Garrett Wilson could do something, why couldn't Elijah Moore do something? And it was it and
Well,
they're like,
no, but that's the thing, man. Elijah Moore is not as good as Garrett Wilson. Like when he first came into the league, he
but
was like,
he's good as Kadarius Toney, right? And Kadarius Toney, when he was out on
no,
the
he's
field
better than
playing,
Dude, no, I don't. Kadarius Toney has actually had some like decent quarterback play around him.
but Daniel Jones,
Daniel
Daniel
Jones
jo-
actually did something
no,
last year.
early Daniel Jones.
Okay, but
Kadarius
how
Toney
long?
been in the league
Kadarius
like
Toney.
3 years.
Yeah, okay, this is third year. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
this is third year.
and he didn't
Or no,
even
it could be his fourth
play.
year. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's his
But that's
fourth
how
year.
irrelevant Kadarius Toney is. I don't know how long he's been. I like barely even knew
And,
his stats.
and I'm telling you right now, that's how Elijah Moore is going to be. That's exactly who he's going to be. He's a shifty, fast motherfucker that literally is going to have injuries. He's going to have injuries, and I don't think he's going to pan out. I don't
Yeah,
think he
but
is.
also you got to think it this way too, man. It's like he
And is
he
Deshaun
was the
Watson
guy.
really an upgrade
Yeah,
from
like
Daniel Jones? From
if he
Daniel
plays up to
Jones?
his dude, if he went back to his original form, Deshaun Watson was one of the best QBs in the league.
Deshaun Watson was also throwing to DeAndre Hopkins, who was catching like 1,500 yards a year. Like, it was very easy.
Dude,
Get
that was
what?
that. No, hold on a second though. That was one guy on the team. That's what I'm saying. If you have Amari Cooper who can just be like a consistent, like doesn't have to be alpha dog like a Jamar Chase or something, but if he just plays good, which he can, and is consistent with it, then it takes away that pressure off of Elijah Moore to get more single coverage, better looks.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be fine. Regardless, though, going back to the matchup, whatever. Even if you gave Hopkins, I just shake that. If you gave Hopkins even over Moore, I mean, I'm still gonna take CD over Keenan. I'm gonna take Gibbs over ETN. I guess depends how Gibbs finishes game now, but Robinson over Harris. I'm taking Watson over Richardson. It could be a lot closer than we think, depending on Christian Kirk and George Kittle,
Yeah.
and
I
maybe
don't know.
Hopkins does something. Who knows?
I'm just saying, I don't trust any Brown. I don't trust any Brown besides Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust them.
Well, we can agree on the Mari Cooper.
Because, like, literally, like, what was it last year? Like, there was, like, I don't know. It's just like when Deshaun Watson was in freaking Houston. Every target got eaten up by DeAndre Hopkins, and the majority of the passing yards went to DeAndre Hopkins. And outside of that, it was like next man up, like
But
whoever came in the game.
yeah, but dude, but they didn't have anybody like next man. Like what? Will Fuller who played a 4 game
Dude,
span, and
Will
then
Fuller, I would take Will Fuller every day over on Elijah
bro,
Moore.
but Will
And
Fuller
no.
again,
And wait. Let's think
four
about this.
games injured, and then
Will
played a
Fuller
couple
is
more injured, or the
Elijah
injured list.
Moore. Tell me this: Elijah Moore, Will Fuller, Kadarius Toney. All three crazy athletes. All three injured all the time. All three have big games when they actually play.
Was Elijah? I don't remember. Was Elijah Moore injured last year?
No, they just didn't like
I'm
him.
pulling him up. Hold on a second. Yeah, oh, dude, the Jets were ass. Like that's what I'm saying. They had so much bullshit happening with their QB carousel. Let me go pull him up here.
I don't know. He had like, I don't know if
He
he was
played all
injured, but he had
16
like
games. He played 16 games last
he
year,
he didn't
so he
play
missed
again.
two
Okay, yeah,
or
except for
one.
Green Bay. He literally Green Bay, Buffalo. He had zero targets, and he was on the field. And he was on the field for almost 50% of the snaps, but didn't catch anything. So he might have just been a decoy or a pass blocker. New England, he had one target, and then Denver, he didn't play. So there was like a 4 game stretch there where like literally he had one target in 4 games. And I don't think that's just quarterback play. I think that's just literally not
Yeah,
being
but
very
also you
good.
got to think too. Like I'm just saying, man, a player goes to a different team. Sometimes the change of scenery could be. I'm not
Maybe.
saying Elijah Moore is going to be. We're talking too much about Elijah Moore. I'm not saying he's going to be like
I know, but literally
top 10 and stuff.
at the draft, Cal was people were going
I like
Elijah
Elijah.
Moore.
I
It's
like
like
Elijah
what?
Moore.
It's like why are we saying Elijah Moore? What is he doing that we're saying like this guy is good?
He went. I mean, we're not going to get into it again. Literally, I'm not going to. I'm about to hash it out through a second whole cycle here, so we're not doing that. I'm taking
No,
Cal. You
exactly.
taking
I'm just saying we
who?
don't
You
know what Elijah
taking?
Moore is going to be.
Who you taking?
I'm going C then. But if I said I don't feel good about it because I don't believe in
Yeah,
Deshaun
it could be
Watson or Elijah
close.
Moore.
No, you're right. It could be a close game. I mean, it depends on what Najee does. It depends what ETN does. You know, and I'm
No,
fine with
I'm not
Keenan.
worried. I'm not worried about ETN and Najee. Like I think they'll eat. Like I think they'll probably get what they need to get. Like
Maybe. I
I'm
mean, Najee's going against San Fran's defense, so
what do they do every single time? They somehow get into the red zone and then they just give it to him and he gets a 1 yard touchdown all the time. That's what Najee is. They just
they
keep
don't play
feeding
against
them.
San Francisco's defense. So they don't see defenses like that.
I don't know. Like I'm just saying. Like I think Najee will get a
Either
touchdown just
way,
based off of production usage at least.
sure. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
See, look,
It's gonna
there
be a
goes
tight
Kadarius.
matchup.
There goes Kadarius Toney fucking up again.
Yeah, get that dude out. All right, let's move on. I don't want to talk about that matchup anymore. I'm gonna be both of you
I'm gonna
guys.
put a bet on this with Elijah Moore. I'm gonna find some bum wide receiver. I'm gonna be say this guy's gonna get more than Elijah Moore this year. I'm gonna go find somebody later tonight.
I'm not making a bet on Elijah Moore. If I owned him, sure, I would do that.
Yeah.
But I don't own him. I
Well,
tried to own him, but I didn't.
I know everybody's like, ooh, Elijah
What
Moore,
do you
but
go for? Okay, final thing on Elijah Moore, because we really got to move on. Because here we go ranting shit about goddamn Elijah Moore. It's not like I'm sucking his
it'll get
put
people
off.
riled up. He went for $10.
$10, whatever. I'm fine with it. You got Sky Moore for 12, so
That was the only reason why is because at the end of the draft, we're like, well, you got no fucking money. So Brian and I were just bidding each other up.
yeah, it is
Also,
interesting because Calvin got him earlier.
yeah. Also going for Sky Moore on a Chiefs offense when you're going for Elijah Moore on a Browns offense. So it's like
All right, let me ask you a question. Would you take Zay Flowers for $9, or would you take Elijah Moore for 10?
Zay Flowers for $9.
Yeah, I know, dude. You think about you put it in perspective of like, all right, so Trump got him for Zay Flowers for $9. I'd much rather have like especially keeper value. Not even
Yeah.
close.
I don't know.
As
Okay. Yeah. No, I just don't. Okay. If anybody doesn't know by now, I just don't like Elijah Moore.
yeah.
He was a Jet, and I just think he's just one of those really high prospects that just got him.
Move on, move on. We're done with
All
him.
right. So next one is
Now the dog pound.
you versus Gabi, and I'm taking Gabi in this one.
That's fine. You're just because you're looking at projections right now. I already know.
Well,
I
I'm just
miss
looking
shoe.
like
Hey, by the way, I like Huff's Puffs is like relevant to our current draft, but man, I miss that shoeless Joe Jackson, dude.
yeah,
You
that was
still
a
got
good
the
one.
picture of him up there.
I don't know, maybe yeah, maybe headless Tua
Wait,
Tagovailoa. I don't know.
is that Shula Show? Who is this?
That's freaking Serge Ibaka.
That's Sergi Park.
I think that's like a
That's
picture
right.
from one of his album covers or freaking just one of his like fashion week
Oh, we
things.
talked about this last year. Okay. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah,
uh,
honestly, I'm going with Gabi on this one, and if I look at it, it's just because like there's a lot like Derrick Henry is a big factor in this because everything else like you have Chase, but then I like DK. We'll see. Jamal Williams, like he could be a sneaky little freaking grab up with no Kamara there,
I guess Kendrick Miller is injured too.
and Devontae Adams is absolutely going to torch the Broncos defense. So you don't even get the reference, dude. I have Devontae Adams, you have the Broncos defense, so I'm obviously just kind of saying like
No, I
my
know.
guy's going to go off.
I'm looking at my matchup and I'm looking at Riley Patterson. So why don't I have 2 points?
You
Where's
do
my
on my
other?
end.
Oh, well, mine's showing one.
No.
All right.
All right.
Devontae's not torching a dude. Sertain's gonna shut his ass down, and
Yeah, we'll see.
old Jimmy G's not gonna be able to throw the ball because they're gonna be just blitzing the shit out of him.
Damn, they just kicked that you just did the kickoff, Harrison Bucker, and the guy who was standing on the goalpost got hit right in the leg, and that was probably the worst dead leg of his life. Uh,
That is
okay,
probably horse. Just swells up.
next,
Whoop.
next time we're going trike.
Hold on. Let me just say something real quick.
Okay.
All right, I need Montgomery to get a titty.
Okay, cool, dude. All right, yeah. Montgomery gets a touchdown. I'm winning.
A Conquo.
All right.
The
So now
free
we're going. Now we'll
changing
go
his
with
name.
Trike versus Dirtle.
I want Dirtle to switch his team name to something with Dirtle in it, but I
Yeah, I
also
don't want.
really like that
Yeah,
Pollard's Putt Pounders.
that's a lot of peas, and I just want Dirtle. It's just all I want in life is Dirtle.
I think Dirtle is a low key Cowboys fan. I mean, he keeps getting these guys, and then he names them after a Cowboys player. Like he didn't even name his team after a Raider, or like do a Raider name last year.
Yeah,
Dax
agree.
Dolly, Pollard's
I'm
Putt
going.
Pounders.
I'm going with Diz in this one. I'm going Dirtle.
I will too, simply because I'm not a believer in Drake London. Traylon Burks, I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. I mean, you guys against Jacoby Myers, like whatever. But then you go
Yeah,
look, Hurts can hang with Mahomes. Pollard's gonna beat out Stevenson. I'm gonna say Rashad White's beating out James Conner. The projection looks. I mean, dude, Cardinals are gonna be such ass taking
yeah. We
Tyreek
said
over
that was
Ayuk.
the same thing last year, and fucking James Conner went off. You know.
No, I'm not talking about James Conner, the player himself. I'm just saying that team. Like they don't have a QB.
Well, I know, but that was kind of like what was happening with James Conner last year, and then he still was like being kind of productive.
Yeah, I mean, you won a
Well, I still
championship.
I think just overall, I think he'll be decent. I just
Mm,
don't know about that Rashad White. Like you got upset because Baker Mayfield wouldn't throw to the out of the backfield to running backs with Christian McCaffrey. Remember that? And
yeah.
so like Rashad White's a really good passing down back. So and then their offensive line is devastated with injuries. Like they lost like their one of their best offensive linemen and their center Ryan Jensen for the whole year. So like Rashad White, like yeah, he's a starting running back, but he's also a starting running back on a Tampa Bay offense that it has 15 question marks next to it.
Hey, Sean Tucker. Yeah. I
Sleeper.
mean, I got no problem with Trike's team for the most part. You know, outside of the Drake London thing, I think. Um, it's just the matchup there. I do like this. Like I like Dirtle's team.
Yeah. I don't mind Dirtle's team. I don't think Dirtle's team is anything to freaking pound their put about, but
Yeah, it's not as dirty as I'd like it to be. It looks a little too
yeah,
clean.
really not a single Raider on that starting offense, I don't think.
He's got Jacoby Myers, Obi-Wan
Uh,
Jacoby,
actually, never mind. You're all right in my book then, Dirtle, because that's
couple
an
former Pats.
ex-Patriot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. My man's a believer in Josh McDaniels too.
All right, take us to the next one, Red.
All right, we got Jaden versus Trone. I'm taking Jaden.
I think this one's going to be closer as well. I mean, top to bottom, it's the Corin one there. It's really killing me. I'm taking Cam Akers over Pacheco. I like that Cam Akers this year. Cakers. I know he's burned everybody, but I feel like he's gonna. I mean, he started teaching at the end of the year, so why wouldn't they just do it again? Easy as that.
Oh, he's down. I thought that Richard James fumbled the ball, but he didn't. It's just the ground caused it. But yeah, um, I think maybe it might be closer, but there's just a
Dude,
lot more hogs on Jaden's team.
I think I'm gonna take Trone actually,
Oh, okay.
mainly because like McCaffrey's gonna eat, right? But it's also against Pittsburgh D, and I want to see if Brock Purdy can actually do it again. Dak, fuck Dak, man. I hate going into this year being like, is Dak just gonna throw a million interceptions, or is he actually gonna teach? Like nobody knows. I'm gonna take T. Law
Yeah,
over him. Dobbins got a juicy matchup against the Texans too. Again, I already like Cam Akers. It's gonna be tight. I just think Toronto has better matchups,
yeah.
and
I just,
I mean,
I
I
just,
have
it doesn't.
I have Brees Hall, so I've been seeing all the stuff going on in New York with the running back situation.
But
Dalvin's
they said,
full.
but he didn't even practice today.
Yeah, he did.
No, I thought he didn't practice. I thought he was supposed to be limited, and he didn't practice.
Oh
Either he didn't
wait,
practice or he was
no,
limited.
they took him off of. No, I'm telling you. Hold on a second.
Well,
Let me
regardless,
pull it up.
there's a couple people that are matchup proof on James' team. I don't care who McCaffrey's going against, and I don't care who Justin Jefferson's going against. They're matchup proof.
Yeah, so they were saying that Dalvin's a green light for him. He's a full go. I'm not saying Dalvin's matchup proof, but oh, here come the Chiefs. Come on, Detroit, just hang in there, boys. Dan Campbell, rally your men.
No, freaking Noah Gray just went off on that run. That was annoying.
The clean machine.
I don't like that. Dude, what's going on with this
Yes,
Detroit offense? This is freaking doo doo. They just keep going 3 and out every 5 seconds. Um, all right, so
Jared Goff.
you're taking Tron, I'm taking Jaden. Okay, now let's go Bryant, and we're gonna go Scheimer versus B. Johns. I'm going Scheimer. I don't think
Is
there's
this
much
our
to talk
last
about.
matchup?
This is our last matchup.
Yeah, it's gonna be Brian. Or, yeah, Brian. I mean, shit, dude. B. John's running Jarek McKinnon and MBS.
Yeah.
That's tough, my boy. That's tough. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be close.
Also, Marquise Brown's dealing with a hamstring injury. I don't even know who their starting quarterback is. Who's this? Who's the starter for them?
B. John's about to take that horse pud, man. He
Yeah, it's not
knows
gonna be
it
good.
too.
It's
He
not gonna be good
knows it.
whatsoever. Yeah, I just
Yeah, what do
don't
you think,
even know.
dude? What do you think B. Johns needs to? Do you think B. Johns needs to make like a trade already? Because he
I,
doesn't have a bench, so I don't know.
I don't.
You
You
know?
might, depending on what's going on with that freaking Kelsey, you might need to get rid of that Goddard.
Yeah, but also, I mean, Cooper Cup, dude, going on that or possibly going that IR.
Yeah.
It's like, do you need a wide receiver then too? I mean, which is so
I
crazy
don't
because I mean, those are like two of the hogs that is gonna catapult his team. It's just like, yeah, you're already done.
I'm not even surprised it happens every year to him.
Well,
But all right,
you're right.
so sounds like we're both taking Scheimer on that one, and that concludes the matchups right there.
Perfect. Yeah, this be very interesting week. Obviously, we haven't even played yet, so don't really know what the hell is gonna happen, but we're here for it. I'm excited.
No, for sure. A lot of rambling going on, but
Yeah, I know. Elijah Moore.
Elijah Moore, who knows, man? Like I'm telling you, like, hey, look what Jaden, look what I brought home with me.
Yeah, dude, it survived the trip. Oh, that's
Oh,
nice. You have to find
yeah,
a little
so
spot to prop it for the Wilson time episodes.
true.
By the
I
way,
was they left it
I,
there, and I was like, people left a lot of shit at the house, actually.
I know there was a lot of shit laying around. Those maids were like, "Oh, cool. What do we do with this?" We're like, "Just take it. Like, we don't want. Like, we're flying out here. We don't want that shit." I was gonna say though, I was thinking about this. We got back. I don't think I've ever seen. I mean, we had Hell Yeah Brother last year, but as far as like a word or phrase, man, Pud is getting so much action. It just Pud coming at you from the left, Pud coming at you from the right. I
Chimer's whole
open up my
team's named after it.
Shimer's whole team's named after it. Everybody's got some sort of Pud on their team. I love it. Keep the Pud
Yeah.
talk up. Let's keep it rolling. Well, all right, Red. Glad we got to get this in. We will try not to be running on Wilson time too much this year. And as you guys can kind of see, the layout on the screen is a little bit different. Playing around with a lot of the editing on there is a lot of cool stuff.
We
But
didn't even start with intro music either.
nope, still trying to figure out how to use all this stuff. Still trying to
Perfect.
figure out how to share the sleeper screen on here while we're talking. So it's like I think you have to make like a custom layout beforehand, and then you go into it with it. So I'm gonna have to play around with it when we're not on
All
Wilson
right.
time.
That'd be
But
nice.
yeah, so all right, boys. Well, I hope David Montgomery gets a touchdown, and I'm gonna beat your ass, Gobby. Give me my dollar, and
Yeah.
then yeah,
I'm gonna clean you up cleaner, so get ready.
teach. All right. Well, until next time, suck me dry. Play with your pud.
Yeah. See you later, boys.
All right. Later.